So Valve recently announced that they were going to be opening up SteamOS to be compatible with more hardware, which is great news if you don't want to spend over $1,000 on the new Steam machine. Now, this is something that people have been trying to do with varying success for a while, but it's great that it's now officially supported, though it is in its early stages. As of now, you're limited to AMD-powered devices, which is a little bit of an ambiguous term because, hey, I've got an AMD-powered PC from 2011 back here. You think it's going to be able to run on this thing? I don't know. Maybe. Let's find out. Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. So this right here is an HP Pavilion P6000 series computer with a 3GHz AMD Athlon, 9GB of RAM, and a 128GB SSD. If that all sounds familiar, you might have seen my PowerOS video a little while back because this is the same computer that I used to install that on. Of course, it's not really meant for SteamOS at all, but I mean, come on, what's the fun in using a modern system to try out a modern OS? But jokes aside, I do find it really interesting how vague that the requirements are for this thing on the website. I mean, it literally just says AMD-powered devices beyond those listed above, those being the officially supported machines that you can install SteamOS on. And AMD-powered in this case appears to be referring to the GPU, because if we look at the release notes for SteamOS 3.8 and scroll down here under non-DEC, it says that they improved compatibility with recent Intel and AMD platforms. And Valve has confirmed that they are working on adding NVIDIA driver support to SteamOS, but according to this PC World article, it's not something that is guaranteed to come out before the end of 2026. But still, this doesn't give us any specific information as to like how much RAM that we need, the speed of the processor, how big the hard drive has to be. The only thing that I was able to find that gives us any specifics is this SteamOS GitHub page from Valve. Under the Getting Started section, there is a chart of the system requirements that you need. However, if you take a look at the history of this page, you'll find that this chart has remained unchanged since March 7th, 2016. So yeah, this was for the older Debian-based versions of SteamOS that we checked out in this recent video. So I guess you're just going to have to go by the specifications of the Steam machine or the Steam Deck and kind of use those as a guide, or just try and put it on a computer until you find one that it works with, which is pretty much my plan if things don't work out with this system here. So I've written the SteamOS install image to this USB drive that I've got plugged into the computer. And by the way, when you go to download this, it does call itself a Steam Deck image, but I'm guessing they just haven't updated that yet because that's the only download you got on the website. So we're just going to go down and try to boot from this and see what happens. Well, it looks like we got nothing. Okay, well, here's an important piece of information. It turns out that SteamOS requires a UEFI firmware to be able to boot off of the USB and install the operating system. So, yeah, that's why that we weren't getting anything on that system, because it utilizes the legacy BIOS, and, well, that's just not compatible. Now, I did suspect that maybe this was the case, but it did not specifically say on the website that you need a UEFI firmware, so that's why I wanted to try this anyways. And well, after doing some further research, it appears that yes, you do need to have a UEFI firmware for this to work, so at least now we know. Then I had to go out to my shelf of computers and try and find something that had a UEFI firmware and had AMD hardware. And you know the only system I have that meets both of those criteria? This thing! Yeah, the old XI3 X7A/Piston computer that I just did a video on recently. And what's hilarious about this is, spoiler alert, this is basically the inverse of the situation we had in that video where I tried to install the older versions of SteamOS. They needed an NVIDIA graphics adapter, and this thing has an AMD one, and it wouldn't work. So yeah, we might actually be able to get SteamOS running on this thing after all. So I'm going to hook it up, we'll plug in this USB drive, and just see what happens. Right after a quick word from today's video sponsor, Surfshark, who has been my personal VPN of choice for years now. I've got it installed on all of my devices, even my Steam Deck, because yeah, it works with SteamOS, and it's become an essential part of my traveling toolkit. Because if you've ever traveled abroad, you're probably familiar with those pesky region-locked messages that you get when you're trying to watch the content you do back home. But with Surfshark, I don't have to worry about them, because with a single click, I can change my device's IP address to be coming from any one of Surfshark's 4,500 servers in 140 locations. And thanks to their support of unlimited simultaneous connections, something that a lot of other VPNs don't do by the way, I can use it across each of the devices I've got with me at the same time. I also like how they pack in some extras, like their alternative ID feature for creating proxy email addresses, which is super useful when filling out those online forms where you don't really want to provide your actual email. Plus, Surfshark backs all of their plans with a 30-day money-back guarantee. And if you sign up at surfshark.com/MichaelMJD or use code MichaelMJD at checkout, you'll get 4 extra months with the purchase of a year or 2-year plan. So be sure to check them out, and huge thanks again to Surfshark for making this video possible. Alright, so we've got this thing all hooked up, and I've got the USB drive plugged in with it set as boot option 1 here in the setup utility. What's interesting is there's apparently 2 partitions on this drive, because it's showing up twice, so I've just got one as 1 and one as 2. So we're just going to save those changes and exit and see if we get anything else compared to what we had on the other system. So it looks like it says EFI unsupported, invalid language, invalid parameter, but then it is doing something else here. Oh yeah, check that out. It looks like it's booting. I mean, yeah, this looks like a verbose Linux startup, so let's see what happens. Okay, well, we've been here on finished SteamOS boot registration for a little while now. We still have the blinking cursor down here, so that's a good sign, but I'm hoping that the system has not, like, locked up or it's just not able to get past this point. Alright, so it's been about 20 minutes, and yeah, I don't really think we're getting anywhere. Okay, well, here's a very interesting turn of events. So you can see we have changed computers once again. This is an Acer Aspire E5 laptop from, I believe, the year 2016. This was actually my primary laptop back then. Because I was not able to get the Xi3 system here to get past that finished SteamOS boot registration message that we were getting when it looked like the system had frozen up, because it was just stuck there for over 20 minutes. I went through that process a few more times and it never got past it, but I did realize that you could press Ctrl-Alt-Delete at that point and it would restart the system, so it wasn't actually frozen up. And from what I looked at online, it seems that if SteamOS is not able to get past this message, that could be because of a display driver problem. So yeah, even though that our Xi3 system here has an AMD processor with an integrated AMD graphics adapter in it, it is from 2012, okay, so it's not terribly surprising that it's having some problems booting this operating system. But what is very surprising is what we have in front of us right now, because you can see that I've got SteamOS booted up from the USB drive on this Acer computer, which has an NVIDIA GeForce GTX 950M in it. I thought that wasn't supported. Now, maybe there is a chance that this could be utilizing the Intel integrated graphics adapter instead, because this has an Intel Core i5 in it. So we're going to have to see, but we got it booted up. We're going to double click on wipe device and install SteamOS. And yeah, I mean, I guess this may end up being the... Oh, wait a minute. No NVMe drive detected. Okay, well, yeah, it looks like you can't install SteamOS to a SATA SSD, which is what I have connected to this computer right now. So the OS does recognize it, but this install script is just meant to work with an NVMe drive and obviously doesn't detect anything. However, I did find there is a custom install script. I will leave this down below. Apparently this will let you install it to a SATA drive or even an external drive, from what it says here on the page. And here's the custom script, so we're going to click on Proceed, enter NVMe SSD or other disk, so that is going to be /dev/SDA. Installing to a non-NVMe SSD is not considered a best practice. You acknowledge this is an unusual step but want to proceed. Yeah, that sums up this channel pretty well, I think. Do you want to wipe the entire disk before installing SteamOS? Yes. It will erase all data? Yes. And it looks like it's running here in terminal. Okay, that looks like it worked. It says custom install complete. Choose proceed to reboot now. So let's reboot now. Is it actually this simple? I do need to take out the USB drive here just so it doesn't boot from that. Oh my gosh. There we go. So it's asking us to, you know, connect a controller or something. But I mean, we've got the mouse and the keyboard here, so we can just go through the setup. Maybe it's just me, but I feel like there's a little bit of lag here. Just moving the mouse around seems like it should be a little more fluid. It looks like it is updating right now, so I guess we'll just let it do its thing. Hopefully it won't brick anything, because that's essentially what happened before with this thing in that previous video I did. It was able to boot into the desktop, but then the moment it ran the updater, it screwed something up. And it seemed like it had installed a driver or something that it didn't like, because it just wouldn't display anything. So I'm hoping that doesn't happen here, but we'll see. Okay, we've got audio, we've got a display, and it looks like it's, okay, maybe it's just me, but it does seem a little more fluid now. I could just be making that up, I don't know. But yeah, okay, here we are at the sign-in screen. So let me get my phone and log into my Steam account. Welcome to SteamOS. All right. So it's going to go through the little tutorial thing, you know, the quick access menu, and we're not going to bother doing parental controls. Press any button to continue. And this is really cool. Now that's interesting. It is still giving like the, you know, optimized for Steam Deck little symbol there. Oh, it's just SteamOS compatibility. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess we're going to install some games. Although I do have to look at how much space that we have on this drive, because this is only a 128 gigabyte drive. Okay, we've got 103.5 gigs free, so we can install, like, not even the latest Call of Duty, right? Because these games are getting so freaking large. But let me go to my library here, and let's see here. Black Mesa. You know, I don't think I've ever actually demoed Black Mesa on this channel. And that only needs 28.66 gigabytes, and man, it's been a while since I've played this. Okay, so we are going to play from this device, install. So we'll get this, and then maybe I'll get, I don't know, one more game. I seem to always do two in these videos, so let me scroll through my library here. Star Wars Battlefront 2 is SteamOS compatible? Really? Yeah, I mean, this is a much older game, so I mean, it should have no problem running on this computer. So yeah, why don't we grab that as well? By the way, I did go into the settings here, and you can see under video card, it is utilizing the Intel integrated graphics adapter. So that's probably why we're able to see anything in the first place. But yeah, it's got that loaded. I am curious about doing a system report since this option is in here. So why don't we just generate that? I guess we can save this to the desktop, but I assume this is going to have like your system name. If we scroll down here a bit to where it ran LSPCI to give us the, you know, hardware and everything. Interestingly, it's showing an Intel Xeon E3-1200 V6/7th gen. Oh my god. Core processor. So yeah, this is an Intel Core i5. But I guess it's showing up as a Xeon for some reason. And then, yeah, we've got Intel HD graphics 620, and then a bunch of other Intel stuff here. And then, okay, here is the NVIDIA GM107M GeForce GTX 950. I can't seem to scroll over here, but this has a 950M in it. And then we have the wireless adapter, Realtek. I'm assuming one of those is the audio, and one of them is probably the Ethernet. And then we got some more Intel stuff down here. I guess we can just save this to the desktop, and we can maybe view it later. So, alright, let's go back to the library here and just go to what we have installed. And why don't we start with Black Mesa, since I think this is going to be the more difficult of the two games to run for sure, especially since we're utilizing the integrated Intel graphics adapter instead of the dedicated NVIDIA one. It looks like it's doing something up here. Oh, it's downloading. So yeah, it is just going through some post-install stuff, I guess. Alright, well, we made it to the menu, so that's a good sign. Now, I was pretty far into the game. I was at the Interloper chapter, which I think is like the second to last or the third to last one. So we could just go into that. Yeah, I was in chapter 17. I think I'm actually going to start on... Let's do unforeseen consequences. Let's start right after the Black Mesa incident. And I'm already noticing a little bit of menu lag, so this is probably not going to be the most pleasant experience, especially if it's pulling the graphics settings from you know, my main computer, you know, what I had it set to on there. But let's see. Oh yeah, this is, I mean, it's not bad. It is playable right now, but let me just see what it's set to if we go under options. Yeah, overall quality high. We probably want to lower that a little bit. Why don't we go to low? Oh my god. What? Okay, so we got some rendering problems going on. What the heck? Oh man. Well, it's a lot smoother at least, but it does not like it seems like those are lighting effects it's having trouble rendering. We'll just run through here. Oh my gosh. What? It's like, what the I have never seen this happen before. I do wonder if we can, you know, lower the, I mean, because there is one more setting underneath low. Potato, yeah, we're going to set it to potato settings. It still looks like we're getting those display glitches there, but this is definitely a lot smoother than even in the low setting. So, but, I mean, look at this, like, this whole part of the screen just goes black up here. Like, what? Yeah, come on, dude. It's not like the whole facility is on fire or anything. Yeah, let's go. All right. Oh my god. Look at this. This is like, this is crazy. I've never seen this happen in this game before. This is like oh my god. All right, well, yeah, I mean, Black Mesa runs on this thing at the lowest settings, and it has a lot of graphical problems, which, yeah, there you go. Now, Battlefront 2, hypothetically, should run perfectly fine on here. I mean, this game is from 2005, so even on the Intel integrated graphics, it should be able to handle it totally fine. Well, I just went into training here, so we're just gonna spawn in and just move around a bit, you know, do our thing. But yeah, I mean, of course, quality here seems to be totally fine. The mouse sensitivity is a little bit screwed up, though. Let me go into options here and see under controls, and we'll just modify this a little bit. But let's do video settings. So everything's on high. I mean, you can barely see this over here because we are running this at like a resolution the game wasn't really meant to be run at, so everything looks kind of tiny. So I suppose we'll just do a little bit of this mission. We'll go to the checkpoint here. And God, it's been so long since... Did I even do the training, or did I just... I mean, I played multiplayer a lot, and I think that was Battlefront 1 on the Xbox. Destroy the damaged... I mean, I can barely read this, it's so tiny. Okay, we have to throw thermal detonators at it. Yeah, just from, like, where I'm positioned, I'm kind of a bit far away from the screen, so, like, reading this text, it can be kind of difficult at times, but I guess we could... Can we adjust the scaling in options here? I mean, there's these sliders for view distance, so you can see as I move this, we get some things appearing up here, but nothing for, like, the interface scaling. But I must say, it is really cool to see a Windows game running here on SteamOS on a piece of non-Valve hardware. So that's a victory for sure. We're going to go ahead and just hop out of here. I do want to go onto the desktop. Let's just quit out of Battlefront 2 here. Really exit to Windows, yeah, for sure. Let's go into the Steam menu here and switch over to the desktop, because I don't think we've been in here yet booted off of the hard drive. And yeah, here's our system report up here that we saw earlier. Okay, I was actually wrong about one of these Realtek things. So one of them was a PCI Express card reader, and then you have the gigabit Ethernet controller. So this is the wireless one. You've got our not in use NVIDIA thing, and then what's the sound? Oh yeah, here it is, Intel HD audio. Okay, so it's got that loaded. I mean, you can hear sound's been working totally fine. I have to say, I'm really excited for the future of this operating system, especially as Valve continues to expand the list of supported hardware and add support for NVIDIA GPUs. I mean, that's going to be really cool to see, because I think that SteamOS could end up being a pretty major competitor to Windows, at least if people don't really consider it to be that already. Because, I mean, think about it. If you're somebody who wants to build a gaming PC, but you have most of your games in your Steam library, and the games games you play primarily already work on SteamOS. You know, they have like a working Linux version of it, or it's been able to run through Proton. There may not even really be a need to buy a Windows license or even acquire one from some of those other places. And as more and more people seem to be switching off of Windows over to Linux, it'll be interesting to see how SteamOS competes with the more mainstream distros like Linux Mint and Ubuntu, though I think it will always be more of a specialized distro since it is focused on Steam gaming primarily. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to think. Be sure to let me know down in the comments below, and while you're down there, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up, get subscribed, maybe consider becoming a patron or a channel member to get early and sponsor-free access to these videos before anybody else. But either way, I just want to thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.